Good afternoon. This is TTT Live, Chalk City 91.1 FM, as well as TTT Live online on Facebook. I'm Dike Rostant. This is your TTT News Update. Minister of National Security Stuart Young says that all that is necessary will be put in place to maintain peace in the city of Port of Spain. This as he addressed a press conference a short while ago to deal with the protests happening in various communities in East Port of Spain. Minister Young assured those calling for justice in relation to the 3 men who were killed on Saturday in Movar that an investigation has been launched. On rubber bullets, the arrest of the son of a prominent imam and the burning of tires and debris throughout a number of communities this morning. The events occurred from after 9 a.m. when protesters in Beetham, Sealots and Movar staged protests to voice their anger over the killing of 3 men from Movar on Saturday. The residents on Monday had a protest in Movar accusing the police of assassinating the men and calling on the Commissioner of Police to intervene. Sherilyn Lewis reports.
Why you killing the gun at people? Ask the boss, this is not video. The man said that. The Taliban should let me hear you take on the video. Let me hear you take on the video, please. Let me hear you take on the video. Let me hear you take on the video, please. I can hear you take on the video. I can hear you take on the video, please. No, let me one. That's one question. Can I hear you take on the video? That's one sentence. Don't take on that video, please. One sentence. There's an investigation.
Residents of Beetham Gardens crying police brutality, intimidation and demanding justice. But one Sealots activist said the protests in Beetham, Sealots and Movar are not only against police brutality but also the high crime rate and gang violence.
This is not just about police. This is about the women and children and also that getting killed, black people that losing their lives. The 500 and 600 murders that are taking place for the year. That's what all of this is about. Time to done, man. Time to done. We continue waiting for justice. What the justice will serve? By the killing people. Now we're bringing one organization. Now we're taxpayers money paying 600 murders for the year. And nobody no see none of that. Women and children getting killed. And we all right. Because you're right. People get killed from the Sealots, they label them gangsters, criminals, no good.
The scene then escalated when the protesters became unruly and police had to use some force to disperse the gathering. During the melee, political leader of the National New Vision, Fuad Abubakar, was arrested by police officers. Reports are that he was charged with inciting violence. Sherilyn Lewis, TTT News.
Tensions understandably running very high on this, the last day of, or rather the last week of our conversations with HR involving HERMAT, the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago. To speak today about leading remotely, we have Cindy M. Wilson, who is an HR manager / consultant. We say good afternoon and thank you for joining us today during these times, Cindy.
Thank you for having me.
In terms of driving people forward or leading from the front, where does leading remotely fit into that kind of dialogue?
Well, if we look at the world that we're in right now, leading remotely and the whole concept of working remotely, persons working either in remote offices or at their homes is the way of the future. This is how most organizations with knowledge workers will have to operate going forward. Things like, but it is a direction that we will see that we will need to continue, and we'll realize as we continue to embark on this experiment that it is beneficial. There are a lot of benefits. Persons are actually more productive and creative when they are in their home space at times.
Now, you speak about benefits, but are there, what is the flip side? Are there any drawbacks that you can see from leading remotely, working remotely? How does this factor in as well?
Well, of course, there are drawbacks with everything. There are, the challenges that we have to counter. In this current time, you would have people who are anxious about being put in a position where they are working from home, which they've not been accustomed to. You have technology challenges. Persons may not have the access to the technology that they need, nor the experience in actually using the technology, such as video conferencing and other team and project management tools that may be needed to ensure that the work is done properly. You may also find that persons may resent working from home because of the lack of connectivity in the office place, where you can actually meet up with your colleagues and have a chat, etc. That is not available when you're working remotely. In addition, there are array of distractions in the home place as well. Especially right now where we have kids at home, persons don't have the childcare that is available. So you have children coming in and out of meetings, etc. So there are things that we need to be aware of, but I think that once we are aware of those challenges, we can address them with our people.
Now, you spoke about the fact that working remotely, leading remotely can be something or is something of the future, but at the same time, we currently exist in the present. What are some of the things we need to be mindful of to help make that transition from where we are, coming out of stay-at-home measures, into saying, okay, well, this is something that we want to formalize? What are some of the things that need to be put in place?
I think as leaders, we need to take a very individual approach to our team members. We need to know our people and understand the specific challenges that each may face and work with them directly to counter those challenges. Additionally, flexibility is something that we must embrace. I think that sometimes we get caught into the 8 to 4:30, 7 to 3:30 kind of work regime, where in a work from home situation where somebody is, dealing with all their other distractions at home, you may find a situation where working hours may not be the same as the available hours, and you'd have to take that into consideration. Close of business may not be the same in a context like that when you're really thinking about persons working from home and having the ability to work at any time, anywhere. Consistency is also quite needed when we look at our people and how we treat with the quality of work that is expected. We must have systems in place as well to hold people accountable for the work that is done at the quality that we need it done, achieving the objectives of the organization as well.
What kind of pressures does this bring onto the leaders? Because off the top, I'm thinking this will require leaders who are able to manage individuals. Because there will be some people who, apart from just wanting the social interactions, the social connectivity, as you described it, at work, being physically there, there's some people who, if they're not in that physical location, it's a little harder for them to lock in for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. What is needed of leaders to bring the best out of people who are working remotely?
I think we have to think in terms of goals, priorities, and initiatives. We need to identify clearly what the overarching goals of the organization and then the department is. Then we need to look at where our priorities lie. What does the organization need right now? What are we supposed to be focusing on? Once we get those things right and our people have an understanding of what that is, then we work with them to put together their initiatives, their daily tasks that will allow them to accomplish the goals of the organization. As well, we need to ensure that, as I said before, we have systems in place to track and monitor work, that we are able to communicate. And in a situation where persons are working from home, at times we may have to over-communicate to ensure that, the message is consistent and it keeps getting across. A lot could kind of get lost in an email, etc. So, tools like video conferencing, making sure people have core hours where they are available for the team to be able to interact with them. All these things in tandem kind of work together to ensure that people are doing the work that we want them to do. And we, of course, as well have to trust our people. I think that in situations where you may not totally trust somebody, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy. that tends to come to play at times. If we trust our people and we have the systems in place, I'm sure that we can work together to get it done.
Fabulous point to end on. Cindy Wilson, HR manager and consultant. Thank you so much. This has been Conversations with HR, part of the overall TTT news update for Tuesday. And remember, you can join us for live coverage on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, Sweet 100.1 FM, Next 99.1 FM, as well as on Facebook at TTT Live Online for all your updates. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of the TTT crew, I'm Dike Rostant. Bye for now.